Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we decode corporate filings so you don't have to. Today we're diving into BioLife Solutions' proxy statement for their upcoming annual meeting. It's like peeking behind the curtain of a company to see not only the numbers but to understand how the bosses get paid, all the company oversight and what big decisions are coming up. You might be surprised by what we uncover. First, if you appreciate getting straight insights from corporate documents, make sure you're subscribed. We also have a Discord community linked in the description below for deeper discussion. So what's BioLife Solutions and why should you care? They're in the business of biopreservation. Simply put, they help keep cells alive for use in things like cell and gene therapies. This stuff is important. Their solutions help make medical breakthroughs and it's a growing field. So it's worth understanding this specific business better. This report is dated July 8, 2025, so it's giving us a look at where they're at as of 2025. Most of the information is about the past year and what's coming up next. We'll start with the annual meeting. Stockholders are invited to attend a virtual meeting on August 20, 2025. This is where they vote on important issues, and it's all happening online. It will be interesting to attend and submit any questions you might have. Now, what are the issues they will be voting on? First up is electing the board of directors, the people who oversee the company. Also up for vote is approving the compensation of the top executives and ratifying the appointment of their auditor. Auditor, basically the forensic accountants checking if figures are correct. Next is information about the company itself, BioLife Solutions, a Delaware corporation. You will see them refer to being such throughout the document when needed for legal precision. Here's a minor point if you are curious. It says that no filing fee was required. Sometimes these reports have fees depending on the type and size. Let's move on to the important people. The report lists all the executive officers and directors. We're talking about people like Roderick de Greef, the chief executive officer and chairman, which means he is in charge of both the management and the board. Troy Wicherman is the chief financial officer managing the money, and then you have scientific, commercial, quality, and technology officers. These executives are running the day-to-day operations. It includes the board of directors as well, such as Amy DeRose, Rachel Ellingson, and others. Noting that Kathy Costi is the chair of their audit committee. It's good that they are showing independence, as it means they are more likely to act in the stockholders' best interest. One important job of the board is overseeing risk management, so that company is not being silly with the money or operations. They have committees like the audit committee that look at financial risks and the compensation committee that handles how much executives get paid, which is important, to make sure they are not being overpaid compared to value contributed. The board confirms that 6 of the 7 directors are independent. It just means these directors do not have close ties to the company, so they can look after the shareholders separate from being influenced by the company. The report states that the board held 14 meetings in 2024. This indicates how active the board is in overseeing the company's affairs. More meetings can mean better oversight or an issue going on, so you need to check what they talked about. Here is something to take note of. This section details directors and officers who failed to report their transactions on time. There were problems with several officers doing the filings late. You would want to keep an eye on this as a sign that there are bigger operational issues with risk management. Alright, let's talk money. The compensation discussion is what everyone wants to see. What is the compensation of the top executives? That answers more important questions such as, are they being paid fairly when compared to peers, and are they leading the company to performance? Here, they explain their compensation philosophy and program their general overall goals. The main executives or named executive officers we are interested in are Roderick de Greef, CEO, Troy Wicherman, CFO, Abby Matthew, Todd Berard, and Karen Foster. So that the incentive is the company aims to provide salaries and total compensation that are competitive, offer equity so executives act like owners, giving the best rewards for leading and managing the group to meet the company goals. It's good to see that the way structured is by emphasizing market-based compensation like stock options and limiting prohibiting things such as hedging and repricing. This is to align it for both executives and stockholders to be in line. The compensation committee considered the prior votes in response to executive compensation, the say-on-pay vote, showing that they are being responsible and taking into account opinions from stockholders. Also good is recognizing they used a compensation consultant to check that their compensation framework is industry average. The company compares itself to a peer group of 20 other similar companies. They actively re-evaluate their peer group and the list is provided. This is very important so we can see whether their averages and strategy make sense. Now let's dive into the real numbers. The the base salaries for the top executives in 2024. You can see that Roderick de Greef, the CEO, had a Basu, the chief scientific officer, made $445,450. Abby Matthew, the chief scientific officer, made $35,000, and the CFO, Troy Wicherman, made $472,000. What is important to note is that some salaries increased relative to the prior year for officers such as Todd Berard and Karen Foster. Good for them. Besides the base salary, executives are also eligible for bonuses. It's designed to reward achievements based on company performance. These are pre-established goals that executives must achieve to earn them. So what were they for this year? The goals were based on a mix of financial targets, revenue, profit, and company objectives, remediation of material weaknesses, basically fixing problems with their accounting. Also, implementation of a system used for their media products. It's important to mention that they use something called adjusted EBITDA. It's a non-GAAP financial measure. Basically, it's an accounting term that helps them adjust for certain things to give a better picture of operating performance. Each executive has a target award to help incentivize performance linked to the percentages of their salary. The compensation committee then reviewed all of these goals at the end of the year, and what do you know, they did pretty good. They met revenue targets, EBITDA, and that they were able to mostly solve issues with material misstatements, that is, issues with their books. Finally, long-term compensation via equity, so executives act like an owner. For the equity structure, they use market performance and service-based restricted stock units. Restricted stock units, or RSEs, are basically shares of stock that the executive gets over time, as long as they stick around and hit certain goals. Here is key information as of December 31, 2024. Roderick de Greef was holding 296,142 in service-based restricted stock. So you can see there are a lot of long-term incentives aligned towards his performance. Scroll value realized on QSIV, Sears Scroll Daily realized on QTIFID. Exercise 6 for Xroken in 2024, Abby Matthew made approx $1 exercising some of his options. Some years are going to be more valuable than others depending on the stock price at the time they vested. Now, what happens if an executive leaves? They have employment agreements that lay out these scenarios. If employment is terminated without some certain clause laid out, then it provides certain payments. If employment was terminated without good cause, these are some specific benefits laid out with the base salary paid and value for the accelerated vesting of equity. Most notably for CEO Roderick de Greef, approx over 14 USD is to be paid if such an event occurred. This section showed the ratio of the CEO employee's compensation and the median employee, the average person, as of 2024. It's about 58-1. It's always a hot topic since if the ratio is too big, many people may start to not like it. Time to see how responsible is the board and the company in general with money. So we will check the accountant fees real quick. We can see here that in 2024, the audit fees were around $2.4 million. To summarize, we have gone over a lot. Now, the company needs to go through election of the board along with voting on the compensation of the company leadership. And finally, a vote is in order to whether or not to have Grant Thornton as their auditing partner. Looking at BioLife solutions through this lens, a few things stand out. Their financial metrics are generally healthy, but there are concerns about risk, compliance with the law, and accounting. It's definitely the business one wants to keep track of to see in which direction things are going, upward or downward. Alright, well, if this analysis was valuable, hitting that like button really helps, and subscribe for more deep dives. Don't forget to check out the Discord in the description. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.